What's in your tool set? I gave this talk. It was definitely not the same talk, or the same place, or the same crowd, or much really of the same of anything, 11 years ago at the first WLPC we held in Austin, Texas. It was on the same topic though. And in that presentation, I started showing a picture of a policeman's tools, and then a surgeon's tools, and an electrician's tools, and by people's tools, you can tell what their job is. So if I showed you a set of tools, you would go, oh, I know what that guy does. We work on things we can't see, touch, hear, taste, smell. No human can feel RF. I don't know. Sam thinks he can feel it in his leg, though. But yeah, okay, he really does. So from the first WLPC 2014, I talked on what was in your tools. And it looked something like this. I talked about tools for layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, and we needed both wired and wireless. And it went, oh, by the way, this video is why yesterday when UC was presenting, I walked up and took a picture right in his face. And you'll see why.
That when you're surveying, you get to use a mouse. Everybody who surveys, you have that little, either you have some crazy people use a little stick or the trackpad. But we're much better when we just...
And he's so happy about it.
The thing is, while you're surveying...
And he liked doing that so much, he does it again.
It's like having a little table with you, a desk, wherever you go. Better than that, I've been on... In fact, I was on a couple weeks ago, we did 22 miles in...
Okay, and that was a long time ago, and I was twice the man I am today. So, today, have a different toolkit. This is what I carry now, because I don't know when I go on site to do troubleshooting, tuning, whatever people ask me to do, what tools I need with me. And if you take them with you, then you have them. And so there's tools for fiber and copper and RF, a whole bunch of different tools for RF. There's things to make RF, things to listen to RF, cameras, thermal cameras, laser measurers, ones that can go out to 1,000 meters, plus things to power them all, dongles, spectrum and analyzers. Yeah, I don't know when I show up, I have this whole toolkit. So a couple months ago, or maybe earlier this year, I posted this picture and people said, whoa, give me your list of what's in there. And I started building the list and got prices, and it was a little shocking how much is in this case, and it goes with me on the plane, but still, I wouldn't want to lose it. And some people complained and said, well, I can't afford that. I'd like to do what you do, but I don't want to spend that much money. And it's not just the money, it's the knowledge that goes of how to use those things. So I came up with this list. It was a subset, and as a challenge, I took this list and didn't take my big kit with me. And for the last 4 or 5 months, every job I've done, I've had this set, actually a subset of this, and you can still do all sorts of wireless troubleshooting and fixing without all that other stuff. Admittedly, sometimes I wished I had my big kit with me. Go ahead, take a picture. I will send you the link if you like to, but go ahead. So this was just a challenge. Can you do it for under $2,000? And over 250,000 people downloaded it off of LinkedIn. So I thought, oh wait, people kind of want to know this. Can I make it smaller? So here's one that's under $1,500. And between the time I went out and bought this actual laptop was that $850, and when people go, yeah, I use Windows because I can't afford a Mac. Really? That's a M4 Wi-Fi 6E. If you want to spend even less money, for $500, you can get an M1 MacBook Air that doesn't do 6 gig, that does all the other things as well. So don't tell me about the Windows thing. So here's a set of tools, has wired, wireless. This one has less wired, just wireless stuff. And then I found what I actually use is this, less than $1,000. Some software, a dongle, knowledge that comes out of that book, and apps that are pretty cheap. It's amazing what you can get done with just really, really simple tools. In fact, if you want to get to really simple tools, these are basically free. On any Mac, you can go and just hold the Option key down and click on the boing, 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 and you get all that information about your network connection. If you're really cheap and you can afford $5, you can get it to show up in your dashboard with the Wi-Fi signal. And track it. And have it trigger you whenever you get in and out. So just with the cheapest set of tools, you can get things done. But it doesn't do everything. Sometimes we have bigger jobs we have to do. So we built this checklist, and it used to be 66 items, and then it was at first page of 25, and we're on Rev 4 now. But when you go into a customer and they have a problem, this and just a scanner tool, WinFi on Windows or Wi-Fi Explorer, or any tool you happen to have, you can answer the first top 20 questions and solve the majority of their issues. Now, of course, there's the detailed page. There's an example page that comes after this. There's even a group of things you can't see out of the air. This first set, everything you can get out of the air. That's it. If you have anything that can collect frames out of the air, you can answer these questions and solve their issues. So where do you find the answers? Well, the fastest way I use is Wi-Fi Explorer and AirTool to do packet captures, and then I use Wireshark to do analysis. If I want to have a leave behind, I'll do a WLPC, and depending on my customer and what they need or which tool I happen to have in my bag, either NetAlly or Ekahau or Hamana or CDOS or MetaGeek or Tamosoft. Okay, I don't use Tamosoft anymore. I did have some customers who that's what they asked for, so we used it. Any of these will do. You can pick which one you like. You can also just use the WLPC. Now, there was a session yesterday on the Go, and there's a deep dive on the Go, but you don't have to have a Go. You can just use an R4. If you just want to do nothing, you don't want the little menu, just buy a Raspberry Pi and put the OS on it, and there you go. So it can be a remote sensor to Wi-Fi Explorer. It can be a remote sensor to WinFi. It can be a remote sensor to Orb on wired or wireless. You can even set it up to be a remote sensor for cellular. And they don't cost that much. So if you don't have any of those and you want to just collect frames and you're hardcore, Peter, and want the packets first, you can use an iPhone and Ekahau Analyzer app with a Sidekick 2. Or you can use an iPhone and an AirTool Pi app and an Osmium Nomad. Or you can use an iPhone and an AirTool app and a WMPi. Or a CDOS Wave. Or a NetAlly AirCheck. Or an XG or a Cyberscope. Or a macOS laptop and AirTool. Or even a Windows laptop and WinFi. You want to catch your frames, lots of ways to do it. Which leads me to this conclusion here. You can go cheap, or you can go expensive. It depends on your skill set and the tool choices you make. So I made this little table trying to see how things compare. The first group are design tools, and sometimes people have a role, they don't do anything but design. I hate those people. One, I guess I don't hate them because I made a lot of money going and fixing Wi-Fi that they designed. Someone sits in the basement, they have a tool, they design a floor plan, they design a floor plan, and they never see what happens after it gets installed, so they make the same mistakes over and over and over. I had one site that we had 78 retail stores, and after the third one I went, they keep making the same mistakes again. So I said, can I meet the guy who did the designs? They said, oh yeah, he's actually in town. I went over and saw him. He had never left his basement office. in years, and he had designed hundreds and hundreds of retail stores, had never seen a Wi-Fi actually installed. But he knew the tool, and he hit the buttons, and he could make green like nobody's business. And that's all we need, it just needs to be green. So there are a set of tools you can use for nothing but design. There's a set of tools you can do validation, and sometimes we have people who that's their job. Someone else designed, I'm going to go on site, I'm going to do the validation surveys. And for that, I need a different set of tools. I need something that can collect the data. I may or may not need to do the analysis myself. So there's a set of tools for validation. Then there's a set of tools for spectrum. Now, I remember the first time I started with a spectrum analyzer. Well, when I really started, I didn't ever use one. I would hire a guy who had one, because when I ran out of things that I couldn't solve with Wi-Fi, there's nothing you can do without the spectrum analyzer. So I would hire a guy who would come in, paid him a couple $1,000 a day, he would find the problem, and then we would fix it. And then I got my first Cognio spec in, and I could solve it myself. I ended up writing a 4-day course for Air Magnet on how to use the Cognio chipset to go on site and solve problems. Spec ends were like the coolest thing ever. And when you need one, you need it really bad. But in my practice, probably I need it less than 10% of the time. Maybe 5. It depends on the type of jobs. But when it's needed, nothing else in any of the other tool sets will work if you don't have the spectrum analyzer. So there's a set of tools there that you can use with the spectrum analyzer. And then I put this category of wireless troubleshooting tools, because you can troubleshoot, and I included in there having spectrum analyzer, because if you're troubleshooting, it's going to come up, and there's a whole set of those. And there's notes about which ones have which kind of license, and you're going to have to go talk to your vendors because they all have different deals. And in your own organization, you might have a different subset of people. You have 3 designers and 6 guys out doing validation surveys. They report back to the designers. If there's a feedback loop, yes, that's a good thing. I don't know what you have, but you can use different sets of tools to accomplish different goals. So then the final one, I just took all of them and said, what if I was going to build my own toolkit and I wanted to pick a set? I could stay with one vendor and go all Ekahau, all Hamina, all Intuibits, all NetAlly, all Awesome, all CDOS, or all Tamasoft, and have a full set that let me do everything. And then I threw it up with the TCO, because that's really what it costs. Some are SaaS models where you kind of rent the hardware and software. Some you buy the hardware, you rent the software. Some you buy both and you get a perpetual license, then you pay ongoing maintenance. There's lots of different ways. And right there, so many options. Check with your vendors for the details. I don't know which one to pick. I carry them with me. I don't know what the solution is going to be. So in your practice, you could start as simple as just finding a way to get Wireshark and do it all in Wireshark. Or OmniPeak, Peter. And OmniPeak works on a Mac in a VM, right? Yeah. So what do you want in your toolkit? I don't know. Figure it out. Okay. Stephen, you're up.